If she's as irrational as you say, I think maybe you should get your son out of the school and prevent that from happening.
She needs help.
Yeah.
She needs some serious help. I want her to get help. I'm worried about her.
I felt bad for Charles. And so I said, Charles, I'll do what I can to help, but Lori won't talk to me because she thinks I think she's crazy. About maybe a year or two ago, Lori started reading some books and near-death experience books and started saying some weird things. She, talks to Jesus in the temple, and she's married to Moroni.
Lori Vallow's case is one of the most disturbing and bewildering true crime stories in recent history. Once a seemingly loving mother, Lori became entangled in extremist religious beliefs and conspiracy theories that led her to commit unimaginable crimes. The murders of her two children, Tylee Ryan and Joshua J.J. Vallow. What began as a missing persons case spiraled into a horrific tale of manipulation, cult-like beliefs, and cold-blooded murder, leaving a family shattered and a nation horrified. Please subscribe to our channel and make comments about what you think of our videos. In September 2019, Lori Vallow moved to Rexburg, Idaho, with her two children, 16-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old J.J. Vallow. Tylee, Lori's daughter from a previous marriage, had a strong bond with her younger brother, J.J., who had special needs. Friends and family noticed a shift in Lori's behavior after she became involved with Chad Daybell, a self-proclaimed doomsday prophet. Chad, who was already married at the time, promoted extreme religious ideas, including the belief that certain people were zombies possessed by dark spirits. Soon after the move to Idaho, both children disappeared. JJ was last seen alive on September 23, 2019, at his school in Rexburg. Tylee was last seen earlier that month on a family trip to Yellowstone National Park on September 8, 2019. Lori's behavior during this period was increasingly erratic, and her explanations for the children's absence were inconsistent. When family members began asking about the children's whereabouts, Lori claimed that they were safe and staying with friends or relatives, though no one could confirm these claims.
He's with one of my friends in Arizona.
It just was kind of weird.
It is very weird. I've had to move around a lot.
She texts me and says
something to the effect of, I'll be there shortly.
I'll be there shortly.
JJ woke up and I'm trying to get him back to sleep.
And that was at night.
It was about 8:30 at night.
Well, okay, because we didn't do the podcast yet. It must have been at Alex's house getting him to sleep over there, I'm guessing.
Did you do something to your children? Are your children still alive? That's a simple question. I've got 3 kids of my own. I can tell you every minute where my kids are at. Where are your children? Listen, just tell people what's happening. There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What? You have nothing to say?
The children were reported missing in November 2019, and Lori and Chad's refusal to cooperate with the investigation fueled suspicion. They fled to Hawaii in January 2020, shortly after police conducted a welfare check on JJ, which further intensified concerns about the children's safety. Lori and Chad's refusal to disclose the children's location led to a court order demanding that Lori produce them by January 30, 2020. When Lori failed to do so, she was arrested in Hawaii in February 2020 and extradited to Idaho. The case took a devastating turn on June 9, 2020, when police executed a search warrant at Chad Daybell's property in Rexburg, Idaho. Investigators unearthed the remains of both Tylee and JJ in shallow graves on Chad's land. JJ's body was found wrapped in plastic and duct tape, his arms bound. He was still wearing the red pajamas he had on when last seen alive.
His hands were folded about chest high. He had duct tape continuously wrapped from elbow all the way around his arm.
I determined the cause of death to be asphyxia by plastic bag over the head and duct tape covering the mouth.
Tylee's remains were more difficult to identify, as her body had been dismembered, burned, and buried. Some parts of her body were never recovered. Investigators believe Tylee was killed on September 9th, just one day after the family trip to Yellowstone. The discovery of the children's bodies confirmed the worst fears of the family and the public, revealing the horrific extent of Lori and Chad's actions. The cold and calculated nature of the murders, particularly the brutal treatment of Tylee's remains, shocked the nation. The cult-like beliefs of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Central to this case was the deeply disturbing belief system shared by Lori and Chad. Chad Daybell was a self-published author of religious apocalyptic fiction and a prominent figure in a fringe religious movement focused on preparing for the end times. He claimed to receive visions about the coming apocalypse and considered himself a spiritual leader. Lori, who had been increasingly drawn to his teachings, began to adopt his beliefs. Together, they believed that certain individuals, including Tylee and JJ, had become zombies, people whose bodies had been overtaken by dark spirits. According to their warped religious views, the only way to free the souls of those possessed by evil was to kill them. Prosecutors later argued that Lori and Chad used these beliefs to justify the murders of Tylee and JJ, as well as other deaths surrounding the couple. Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy Daybell, had also died under mysterious circumstances in October 2019, just weeks before he married Lori. Initially ruled as a natural death, Tammy's body was later exhumed, and authorities reopened the investigation. Chad and Lori were both charged with Tammy's murder in addition to the killings of Tylee and JJ. Please subscribe to our channel and make comments about what you think of our videos. Lori Vallow was charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and grand theft for Social Security benefits she continued to collect after her children's deaths. Chad Daybell faced similar charges, including first-degree murder and conspiracy in the deaths of Lori's children and his wife Tammy. During Lori's trial, which began in 2023, the prosecution laid out a harrowing case against her. They presented evidence of her increasingly erratic behavior, her obsession with Chad Daybell's teachings, and her role in the murders of her own children. Text messages between Lori and Chad revealed their plans to rid the world of those they deemed dark spirits and their belief that they were on a divine mission. The defense attempted to argue that Lori was mentally unfit to stand trial and that her extreme beliefs clouded her judgment. However, the jury was not swayed. After hearing testimonies from family members, former friends, and law enforcement, the jury convicted Lori of first-degree murder in May 2023. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in July 2023. Chad Daybell's trial is scheduled to begin in 2024, where he will face charges of conspiracy to commit murder and the first-degree murder of Tylee, JJ, and Tammy. In a shocking development, Lori Vallow resurfaced in a phone call with her surviving son, Colby Ryan, in 2024. The conversation, aired on Colby's podcast The Scar Wars, revealed new claims by Lori. She told Colby that Tylee had been responsible for JJ's death and had killed herself out of guilt. This claim directly contradicted the evidence presented at her trial, which proved that Tylee died 2 weeks before JJ. Colby struggled with his mother's version of events, expressing disbelief and anger over her attempts to shift the blame onto Tylee. Lori insisted that she had found her children dead and had run out of the house, leaving someone else to deal with the bodies. She also maintained her belief that she was on a mission from Jesus and that her actions were part of a higher divine plan. The murders of Tylee and JJ left a lasting emotional toll on the family, particularly Colby Ryan, Lori's surviving son. Colby, who had been close to his siblings, was devastated by their deaths and struggled with the knowledge that his mother had played a role in their murders. Throughout Lori's trial, Colby spoke openly about the pain and trauma of losing his brother and sister in such a brutal way. Despite his deep sorrow, Colby made it clear that he could no longer maintain a relationship with his mother. In their prison phone call, he told Lori that while he forgave her, he could not allow her to be a part of his life or the lives of his children. Please subscribe to our channel and make comments about what you think of our videos.